Hi, I'm John Rabel, the founder of Launch, which is a legal and business advisory firm for small and mid-sized companies. And I thought I would talk a little bit about some advantages that go along with LLCs. LLCs are an extremely popular form of business entity for small companies. They're easy to set up in the state of Virginia, minimal filing fee, state turns around approval very quickly. So there's a lot of opportunity and advantages that businesses can get on board with when it comes to using an LLC for the business structure. So, a couple of advantages that LLCs offer companies that they should be aware of and sort of look for ways to maximize are one, limited personal liability. So, it's right there in the name, limited liability. Sole proprietorships and partnerships typically don't offer the owners any limited liability, meaning that their personal assets are at stake for any of the debts, obligations, or liabilities that come up through the business. Obviously, that's a huge risk you'd want to minimize as much as possible. So, taking advantage of an LLC and the limited liability benefits that it brings are, I think, extremely important considerations for business owners. Something they should definitely be aware of and look to set themselves up in a way that doesn't put personal assets on the line for business issues or mistakes. Another advantage of LLCs is how they're taxed. So unlike most other entities, there are several options on the table for limited liability companies when it comes to their tax status. It's really the owner's choice based on what their individual tax situation is in terms of how they're going to tax the revenue that comes into the company. You can be taxed as a sole proprietor, as a partnership, as a subchapter S corporation, or as a C corporation. So, like I said, that's a lot of flexibility. Most other business entities don't have that type of flexibility. You're sort of steered right into a specific tax structure based on the company. Not so with LLCs. So you'd want to sort of review what your particular tax situation is or what advantages you could get from electing to be taxed a certain way and then incorporate that into your business. Another big advantage of LLCs compared to a structure like a corporation is there's less paperwork and fewer corporate formalities. So, the filing fee with the state is minimal, roughly $100. In Virginia, it is $100. The paperwork is fairly minimal. You can do it all online, as opposed to a corporation, which requires some more in-depth paperwork. Also, there are requirements around holding meetings, documenting those meetings, and then annual reports, none of which necessarily have to go with an LLC. You can really limit those types of requirements. You might want to look into putting some things in place in order to make sure that you're structuring the business properly in terms of limiting your personal liability, but you can really reduce the formalities and any paperwork associated with keeping your LLC in good standing. Another big advantage of LLCs is management flexibility. So LLCs can be managed by a member, members, or manager or managers. A lot of times, someone will start or form an LLC. They'll be the members, the owners, but they're interested in holding that property or company more for investment purposes and don't necessarily want to be involved in the day-to-day of the company. So there's an easy way to set up someone as a manager who can oversee the daily operations, make certain decisions that keep the company up and running without the members and owners having to be involved daily, looking into every little detail. You would sort of set up a distinction on how the company is run, either member or manager in the operating agreement, and also spell out the specific duties and details, expectations of the people who are running the business day to day. Because you'd want to have some sort of oversight and a way to sort of step in, take over if there are mistakes in place or the company's being run in a way that you don't want it to run. And also so everyone's got a clear understanding of what their duties and obligations to the company are from the beginning, to prevent some issues down the road from coming up that could be causing headaches, disputes, etc. So I think those are 4 big advantages to LLCs. Again, really popular business entity with small businesses, so it's important to maximize your advantages and look for ways to limit your risk with them. If you have any questions about LLCs or legal business advisory services in general, feel free to reach out to me. J Rabel, that's JRAB as in boy, IL, at launchstrategylegal.com or 804-442-6090.